Hey, everybody. Philly Alpha on FrontOnce.com. Now we're going to get into a little bit more of the fun stuff, in my opinion, which is turn play after having Cbet flop on a dynamic board. I'm not filtering by turn texture because, we would just end up with infinite videos. We're looking at every turn texture and every kind of action line. But as I get to a unique board texture, I'll stop and talk about it and make sure that you're covered there. So I'm going to go back, starting with the same group of hands that I did for the flop Cbet video. And so we'll get to see some of those hands if you're curious about how any of them played out. So starting with this first one, as we talked about, I don't know why I chose half pot here. And if I do half pot, the Cbet I think is okay, but at a 3/4, I would not. But I do get check raised. I need to peel. We get the turn king of diamonds. And facing a check, I think I have a very clear pot bet, which is what I'm going to do as well. So in this spot, let's say on a brick turn, I think basically whenever you face check raise, you can have two sizings, or you can have multiple sizings on the turn. I think I like to split on most turns. I like to split into third pot and full pot. But depending on the texture, sometimes I'll use some other sizings as well. On this turn, I think, so if I have, let's say, king plus, I more or less have the nuts because he's not check raising queen jack to check this turn almost ever, unless he blocks a whole lot of stuff. So at least that's my opinion. Actually, you know what? Venny's tricky enough to do that. A lot of people are not, but he, especially the way I was playing, which was potting a lot of ace here and potting, like I wasn't using a small sizing very much here, so he might go for the check raise. But anyways, on this board, I think I want to have two sizings, like third pot and full pot. And this hand I like to put in the full pot range. I think it's it has too much showdown value to go in the third pot range. It's not accomplishing enough, but I want to force, like I'm trying to make ace 10 fold by the river with a hand like this. So I want to go pot. Sometimes you can have, like, you want to go more geometric. So let's say 3/4 on the turn, which then sets up, what's that? So there's like 15K by the river, and effective stacks are 12.5. So yeah, like 3/4 ish. I would do that on a monotone texture, or like when the turn brings a flush. On this card, it's only one straight that gets there, and the board can change quite a bit with a diamond, or enough stuff that I think, as I'm saying this, I think I like going 3/4 because I don't struggle with my value betting range to cover board pairs because I'm betting top set and second set here for value. So I don't leave myself at a playability disadvantage when he check calls and the river pairs the board. I don't even leave myself at that much of a flush draw disadvantage, maybe a little bit. So yeah, I think I like 3/4 here, and then jam river with this hand. I decided to check back, which I really dislike. So I'm disappointed to see that. Maybe I just thought his value range were not going to be folding turn, and then I beat his bluffs. But he's going to have some king X bluffs. So bet flop. Now we have a turn Cbet opportunity. Just clear pot with this hand. Pot's my only sizing on this turn. And basically go with straights plus for value. And then, especially at this stack type, you can definitely bet a lot more sets for one street and then to have board coverage, because again, board coverage is so important. So, 6/6, especially with any additional equity, is certainly good enough to value bet again. And then probably check a lot of rivers. But yeah, so like value range is roughly some sets plus most straights, but I obviously need to check some for my turn, my check back range. Betting most 5/7 and probably mixing with deuce 5, but doing more betting than checking, I would guess. Certainly 5/5 deuce, I'm going to go ahead and bet, blocking no pairs. So the way that I structure my range with regards to which straights to bet and which to check, generally speaking, is that if I have a straight +2 pair, I bet because I want the board coverage on board pairing rivers. If I have a straight plus no pair, I bet because I unblock calling hands that I beat. And if I have a straight plus one pair, I do more checking because I now block some of the calls that I beat, yet it doesn't give me the board coverage on board pairing rivers because I don't fill up. So clear bet. Again, we're not going into rivers because we're going to cover rivers in several other videos. So on this turn, I think my strategy at the time was to check hands like this, but now it's to bet hands like this. Solver bets hands like this that block turn two pair and stuff. Okay, I'm glad to see that I bet. Just clear, continuing to semi-bluff with a good blocker on the turn. I actually get check raised. This is mostly going to be sets against which I have, I don't know, what's that? 25% equity. With ace king 10 with the nut flush draw, I never fold. Here, his semi bluffs are sometimes going to be like, ace 6 7 8 with the nut flush draw. He would play that this way. So it gets a little dicey with this hand. I think I just need to call. Yeah. All right, we'll see what the river brings. Okay, no, it's just going to be a fold. We bet this flop, as you saw here on the turn. I lean towards checking. I block like folds with 4-3 deuce, and kind of the ace for that matter, because he's gonna have some he's gonna call more ace 6 than other 6x, and ace 4 than other 4x. So I think I like checking. Instead, I get check raised, and I think I need to peel. But pretty unhappy about it. We're going to lose that pot as well. Here, I said I didn't like this bet. And now with no spade blocker, I'm just done with this hand. So on this turn, I have pot only. And on a queen of spades, back then I had pot only. Now I would do some pot, some third pot. The difference between the queen of spades and the ace of spades is that the ace brings a straight. And so on the queen of spades, you now have a category of hands, like you have sets and two pair that really like to bet 1/3 pot. And obviously you protect that range with some flush draws or flushes. But on the ace, now those hands are not really thrilled to get that bet in because you run into a straight, it's not as good of a hand, basically. And so on a board with a flush and a straight, you tend to just pot more, and because straights really don't want to bet. Straights have no reason to bet at all. They're a pretty interesting hand where they don't give you additional board coverage. They mostly narrow opponent's range to hands that beat them if they bet big, and if they bet small, it's they're giving great odds to two pair and sets that then have board coverage on that they don't have great board coverage against because again you're not betting those hands. So, anyways, when it's straight plus flush, I use pot only. When it's flush plus no straight and no board pair, I use small bet and pot. And then it's similar concept to board pairing turns. So on just a board pair with no flush or straight, I tend to do some half potting and some full potting. On board pair plus flush, I just only pot because you don't want to bet trips. You don't want to bet weak flushes. And often don't even want to bet strong flushes. So you're just representing a range that wants to go big. So yeah, good give up here. Easy bet on flop, as we talked about. Oh yeah, I get raised, easy call. Turn, he's potting. I block the 4, but I don't think it helps me that much because I think he has still has sets in his range. Against the set, I have 25% equity. But again, I have the non-nut flush draw. I don't think he's going to have a ton of bluffs here. I guess he might have some two pair, but it might be two pair plus flush draw. Anyways, I think this is really close. I think probably I'm supposed to peel. But yeah, I didn't really want to. So easy bet. So on turn now, I would do some third potting with a hand like this. Quite a lot of it, actually. because you get some protection against straight draws. You get some value from ace 9 and 9-5 and similar hands. But I don't know if I was doing that back then. Okay, so I was half potting, maybe half potting and full potting. I'm not sure. But if those are my sizings, then I like half potting this. Bet flop, turn an 8, but no flush draw, no, and just the weak gut shot. I mean, it's a strong gut, it's a nut gut shot, but I think this is just a check. It's not strong enough to keep bluffing. I went for the turn barrel. I do think he was overfolding turns, but I think this is a turn on which he's not going to overfold too much because he's not going to check raise ace king 4 rainbow very often. So his and he's actually going to overfold it a little bit. So I think his calling range gets strengthened. So I don't think he's necessarily going to overfold this turn. I understand the bet, but I'm not a big fan. So this one, I bet a very clear check on the turn. It's too strong to bluff, not strong enough to value bet. Effectively, clear bet on this flop. We talked about this one. Here on the turn, king 6 plus open ender, I would bet. King deuce plus open ender, I think I would bet. And this is maybe just barely too weak. I think I check. I went for value and get raised. All these marginal bets getting raised. I think I actually need to fold. I just have an open ender against his value range, and I don't think he has enough semi bluffs. Like he has some for sure, but you don't turn a lot of semi bluffs on the deuce that were not strong enough to raise flop. And he's very likely with ace queen 10 with spades to just raise flop. So yeah, I think I just need to fold. I just keep bluffing a hand like this really strong. I can fold out some stronger flush draws now too. Okay. Easy check on the turn. No reason to bluff with this hand. It's too good. Interesting turn. So if I have air plus 6-4, I'm always going to bet this turn. Deuce plus 6-4, I'm always going to bet this turn. 10 plus 6-4, I'm always going to check. 5-6-4, I don't know. I lean towards checking. I think I need some. Like basically when I bet and I river 2 pair, my hand's not that great. Like I kind of kill my 2 pair outs. But when I check and I river 2 pair, now, like I have more equity. So I kind of waste some equity by betting, I think. It's fine. All right, so now we're getting into hands we didn't cover. So weak gut shot, backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. I go ahead and bet flop, which is fine. Turn deuce. I think with a heart, I can maybe like 9 of hearts, I could keep betting, but I think this is too weak. So I like the check back. And even 9 of hearts is kind of iffy. Top pair, nut gut shot, backdoor flush draw, good bet. Easy check on the turn. Never want to bet a straight on this board. And again, pot only on that board. Here I go ahead. It's kind of a weird hand class. But I go ahead and bet with ace of spades and deuce 3. Easy check on the turn. Never consider, value betting or protection betting these. Doesn't deserve a protection bet. I mean, this is fine, I guess. I do have the 6 high hearts, which I get him to fold out higher hearts. I do sometimes win at showdown. Very interesting turn because ace 6 is not nothing, but it's just such good blockers that I think I just need to go for it. Surprised I didn't blast off. Easy bet on flop. On turn. So let's see. He's going to have 3-4, something like 10% of the time. So I think if I go pot here, it's too thin because he's going to have a straight 10% on the turn. So when he calls pot, he's going to have a straight 20%. And then I can't pot river. Plus he has sets too. He has deuce, deuce, and 5-5. Not much 5-5 because that folds flop, but some like 5-5-3. So I lean towards checking this back. It's just a little bit too thin. And I think my min value hand here, like I need to bet some sets for sure. Probably check some ace-ace and bet queen-queen and 5-5. Bet ace-queen, like 4-6, or maybe even ace-queen-4 or 3. But then still check river, but I have a bit of additional equity. Anyways, I think I still check those, but definitely like set plus straight draw. Go ahead and bet. But I like this check. Don't love this flop bet, but whatever. Easy turn check. Nothing to consider. It's too strong to bluff and too weak to value bet. Don't know why I bet this flop. Not supposed to do that. And I think unblocking, well, I have an 8, but 4, 6, 9, only blocking 1 diamond, and now having turned pretty good flush draw. I like betting turn. And here I would go, I can go half pot or pot. I don't really feel strongly. I mostly use half pot in these spots. All right. Good to see. Here I bet bottom set. Could check this very weak bottom set. And I get check raised on the flop. Oh, this video is actually, I Cbet flop and I saw the turn. So it's going to include hands like this, which I forgot to mention, but you've already seen. Obviously calling the check raise. Yeah, this is one of those sets that I could have checked flop. Not a big deal. He's representing a hand stronger than mine. I do think he has a lot of semi-bluffs at this point. But he doesn't have he has ace queen to raise flop, but on the 9 turn, I don't think he has ace queen anymore. Unless it's specifically like ace queen with king deuce of hearts. I actually think this is a fold. I think I should just fold this hand. It feels a little bit exploitable, but I have plenty of hands with more equity against his value range than this. I'm glad that I folded that. I'm a little bit surprised that I folded that, but I'm glad that I did. Okay hand to bet flop with. This would be okay to check as well. So here, again, 2 sizings. This hand's going to bet, and I'm okay with betting it for either sizing. I lean towards potting because I can go pot with the second nuts, and I'm not going to want to pot as many of my sets and 2-pair. So whenever I can get a 2-pair combo into my potting range, I'm going to do it. So I think clear pot. I don't like this half pot. I don't recall my sizing scheme here, but I know that I was using some pots. So I don't like this decision. All right, so bottom pair, double gut shot. Seems okay. Turn the second nuts. I have a bit of a redraw, but it's actually a redraw to the second nuts with the on the jack. I block only the 8. Gonna have a fair bit of jack 9. I think this is pretty close on the turn. 2 straights get there, so I go pot only. I mean, most turns I go pot only. That seems okay. And then I'm gonna check river if I get to. I wasn't supposed to go to rivers, but this is a fold with no club in my hand. And I could talk about that. I think it's a very clear fold, which I could talk about more later, but I don't want to get hung up on it. Let's mark that hand. Guess I was c-betting more air on purpose. I mean, I have 10 blocker, I have backdoor stuff. This turns a check. It's just not good enough. Bottom 2 plus open ender is a bet. Clear check on turn. Top 3, clear check on turn. You'll like all these are 2 examples of this is not a protection bet. It's a terrible bet. In both these spots, you just don't bet hands like this. Okay, second set. I'm going to go ahead and bet this with even though it's non-nut, it is a gut shot and blocker to straights, so it's additional equity. And again, when I'm kind of incentivized to check some of my sets, I want to bet ones that I can bet. I'm surprised to see that I checked. So here I went with the weak wrap bet. I also have well, I guess it's not that weak a wrap because of the 8. And I think I check. If he called flop with Queen X with hearts, he's not folding. So I don't clear up my 5-high flush draw equity very often. And I have a lot of equity against his folding range, but not a lot of equity against his calling range because I run into boats, I run into Queen X with hearts, etc. With bet, it worked, but I don't know. I think check would have been okay. Here, non-nut gut shot, top pair, top kicker, backdoor, nut flush draw, and over cards and stuff. So I like the flop bet, clear turn check. Here I go with the bet with the open ender. I think I could go either way with this hand. Clear pot. So when three straights get there, definitely go pot only, and basically go most of my nut straights, some of my second nut straights, none pretty much of my third nut straights, and then you got to mix in some two parent sets that kind of have additional equity or a blocker. I hate this check. I mean, I block 0 pairs, and this might have been me. I mean, he was doing a lot of check raising on rivers, and were like bet 3 betting too, mostly check raising. But this is not the hand to do it with. Like with Queen Jack 10, sure, but not Queen Jack Deuce Deuce. It's just terrible check. I'm just curious to see how it plays out. I do like the river bet. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. Bottom set, 3 of spades. Go ahead and bet. Easy turn check. Again, it's just like 2 straights get there. Not many rivers I can, like basically no rivers I can value bet. And even, especially with bottom set, when the board pairs and I bet again and get action, it's not like that thrilling. So this board is very dry, so you do need to bet some kind of random stuff, which is what I did here. I don't know if it's solver approved, but it's fine. Easy turn check. Sure, with the queen of clubs, I would check this without it. I like betting here. I still have those nut outs. I can still bluff on a club river, and the 6 blocker is useful. So I like this bet. Get raised, have to fold. Sure. It's kind of. No, you know what? This is bad. I don't know why I'm betting this hand. It's just a check. It's too weak. It's multi-component hand, but it's too weak. So blocking deuces is not that big of a deal. However, I do think it's good enough to barrel off. I mean, blocking like deuce 3 is a thing. The reason it's not as big a deal is because deuce 3 gets folded in each of our ranges more than most, straight combos on most boards. But I do fold out higher flush draws, clear up that equity, and I do have pretty good, like I unblock 3, 6, 7, 8, and like 5x folds, Jack X is in an uncomfortable spot. So I like betting. Sure, with this flop bet seems okay. Weird turn spot where like, do I want to bet and get him to fold straights? But if I pot this turn and get called, do I really want to bluff river, given that I have some showdown value, not a lot, but some? So I think like deuce 6. No. I think hands like deuce 6 pot and barrel off here with the nut club blocker. But 10-6 just has too much showdown value, so I like checking. And keep in mind that you do need some nut flushes in your turn check back range, and therefore some nut flush blockers. So, I have the potential to do some stuff on rivers. Very nice hand on the flop. Very nice hand on the turn. Never check this. Way too strong of a queen jack combo, even blocking the top pair. If I had this hand without the diamonds, might go ahead and check. Clear flop bet, clear turn bet. I don't know what sizing scheme I was using clearly, but okay. I guess I was going half pot and pot. This hand's fine to do either with, of course. I mean, anytime you have the nuts and you have multiple sizings, you just have to mix it into both pretty much. Not anytime, but almost anytime. This might be a top 2 pair that can check back because I just have the board so crushed, but I did decide to bet. Easy check on the turn. Let's keep in his flush draws. And I'm not going to value bet 3 streets if I don't improve. That said, ace king plus nut flush draw I would bet, because not because I'm going to value bet river, because I'm not, but it's one fewer hand that beats me. One, like ace king is a real part of his range, and on the river ace I now have more implied odds than I would with ace queen because ace king's a thing. So this is a middle set that probably could be checked, blocking bottom set and not having additional equity. But this board is really dry, so you just bet almost all sets. And if you bet literally all of your sets on this board, you'd be okay. Not going to be making a big mistake. Easy turn bet. Pot's my only sizing on a board that's fully dynamic. Kind of questionable flop bet. I mean, I turned a lot of additional equity, but it's not enough. Like, I'm not accomplishing enough betting, so I think it's just a check. I don't really like this bet. Like, I get that I want to build a pot in case the river's a club or a five, but just keep in his hands that are drawing near dead, you know? Because a lot of what I get called by here is aces up. So then all my two pair outs are dead. Obviously, I still have some equity, but like I'm not pushing equity against his calling range. And I have lots of equity in the check back pot, so just check. I don't know what that was. I decided to bet bottom pair with some backdoor stuff, which is fine. And interesting spot where, like, you know, what are you going to barrel off with in spots like this? Because you kind of want a boat blocker. But I think since my main sizing is half pot, I mostly just choose air hands that, you know, have more equity to improve than this does. I don't mind half potting this and then blasting river if the river is a 5 specifically, maybe a 3, and maybe a heart. But I think check is maybe more of the standard. So we bet unpaired nut gut shot. If he called flop with a flush draw, he's not folding turn. So I don't think I'm, you know, clearing up this flush draw equity. So I like checking this. I mean, it's just relatively weak hand, so I like checking it back. Good enough. I mean, it's like all weak components, but a 3-component hand is pretty powerful. So do you like that flop bet? Turn's interesting. I lean towards checking. My 7 is not, it's not that my 7 has a ton of showdown value, but when I narrow his range too much, then my 2 pair outs, like I lose my 2 pair outs, whereas now I have them. And so my equity against his folding range is decent. My equity against his calling range gets a lot worse. I would have checked now. I think the bet is totally fine. And maybe even solver approved. Maybe that's better than my play, to be honest. Well, we got a very interesting river. I think it's just a pot and hope for the best. Okay. Not going to bluff with these 7s. My hand's too good. So easy check. I guess I chose on some very dry boards to start half potting. I have no idea. I have no recollection of that, which is kind of weird. Clear check on this turn. Bet the wrap, turn the pair, keep betting the wrap. Blocking turn 2 pair is valuable. Okay, seems okay to bet this hand. Easy check on the turn. I don't like this. I mean, it's a very comfortable play, but I'm just trying to get protection. And what I will say in defense of this is that, and I know that it was my reasoning too, is that on a king or a queen offsuit, which there are 5 of, I have another clear pot value bet, which is very valuable. Whereas if I had, you know, jack and a 6 and a deuce, ace king, even ace king 10, let's say, or ace king 8, I would check. But this, with 5 extra, like 5 outs where I can value pot river is pretty useful. So you know what? I'm actually talking myself into liking this bet after thinking that through. And it's a very specific combo though, because even when you have king jack, I just don't like it as much anymore because the jack gets a little bit dicey, although you can still value pot. Certainly the 10 I don't like. Maybe ace king jack, ace queen jack as minimum, but probably ace king jack and ace king queen only because the ace kicker matters, or the king kicker matters. Let's just see what he had. Pushed equity on the turn. Lots of stuff going on here, so I'm okay with the bet. Easy check on the turn. It's just not strong enough to go 3 streets, so start by checking, keeping it. It's very important to check back middling flushes in these spots. People that get greedy and go for value because they don't want to like check back and then face a river check raise. It's just bad. Like he has a lot of hands that are completely dead that are folding. You want to keep those in. You want to let him bluff or let him hero call river. If you get check raise, you just deal with it. So here I like going half pot with a weak deuce. Okay, that makes sense as a bet. Really interesting turn. It's probably just enough equity to keep betting. You don't face a check raise on this ace turn almost ever, which would be really uncomfortable with my hand in particular. I think it's just enough equity that going one more street and then checking back on river is good unless I improve. Yeah, I pushed a lot of equity against that hand. Easy flop bet, easy turn bet, top two, plus any additional equity. Okay, so we get check raised. We have jacks plus 9 high flush draw. You do want to 3-bet sometimes. I think so, like dry jacks, I would usually call. I think with the 9 high flush draw, I like raising small, mainly because if he has like a wrap, I'm pushing more equity. And even if he has straight draw plus stronger flush draw, I'm blocking 2 of his outs. The 4 works against me a little bit. If this were 9-3 of spades, I'd like it more, but I think I prefer have a 3-betting flop with this hand. Pot's turn. How much is left? Yeah, I just rip it in. Nothing else to do. Makes sense. It's a pretty weak wrap, but actually, no, you have the 7 as well. So I think it's okay to bet. Probably half pot and then be done with the hand. Checking is okay as well. All right, let's see what happened on the river straight. I should maybe raise this river with the nut straight and blocking the 8, although he's not going to value bet like ace 10 or anything, so he's mostly repping queen X. I don't know. I'm curious to see what he had here. Same hand. That makes some sense. Although I thought he would go bigger with that hand, to be honest. Easy check back on the turn. Go ahead and bet this flop with the nut flush blocker. So when you don't block a ton of draws, which I mean this has the nut, but like actually nut flush draw check raises flop. So basically, like I kind of unblock draws a little bit. Ace spades, the 10 and the 8 unblock draws. The 5 is not that useful. I mean it is, but it's not hugely reliable or hugely impactful, I guess is the word I cannot find. I like continuing to bet hands like this because you make him fold draws. I went with pot for that reason. Also make him fold some 9x and instead get raised, which is very surprising because I'm going to barrel rivers a lot. I'm pretty suspicious of this play, but went with the flop bet, which is fine. Easy turn check, not strong enough or weak enough. Don't like this flop bet. And I mean, the concepts I was just talking about do apply, but I don't know. This hand's too weak. I just like checking. Don't like this flop bet. I was going to air heavy. I think it was an adjustment. Like I said, I felt like Vinny was overfolding flops and over probing turns, but this is just taking it too far. An easy turn check is just too weak once I get to this point. Seems fine to bet this hand, but you could check. But actually having the 7 high backdoor flush draw makes it more of a bet. Having jack diamonds makes it more of a bet. I like betting. Call the check raise. He's half pot on the turn. I think he's kind of repping, he's repping sets and kind of the same hand as mine. I think I have to call. And since we're here, let's just see what happens. His turn sizing's I don't remember if he was using this as only sizing. I don't think so, but maybe. And maybe it does make some sense with because if he has 6-4, he's not raising flop with 6-4 unless he has diamonds to go with it. or set to go with it, and all of those would small bet when it's 6-4 plus something. 8-6-4 even makes some sense. So actually, like, this sizing does make some sense with the range he's representing, and maybe is a good only sizing because you could still bet sets like this. Yeah, I think I'll have enough that I need to fold. Also, when he gets here with, like, 9-8, ace 9-8 with nut diamonds, he's just going to give up because he blocks all of the draws. So I think this is a reasonable fold by me. We got into the river, into a couple rivers, which wasn't my intention. But we'll wrap up here, and I hope you enjoyed it and learned a few things. And I'll see you next time. Take care.